are you? TAM KBDT proudly presents Life Solutions, coaching, counseling, naturopathic medicine, insights for successful living, and getting better with Ann Beal.
Welcome to this beautiful day here in Dallas, Texas. We are here to help you with your stress, your anxiety, your anger, anything like that to help you cope better. We want you to have a life exploding with joy and happiness. And one of the easiest ways to get there is to journal. It is a great tool to cope with anxiety and anger and stress, which everyone around the globe is having right now.
It sure seems like it. Yeah, and this is a subject that's near and dear to our hearts because we were taught how to journal. Gosh, it's been probably 15 years ago now. Yes. But it is a regular technique that we use just to make our lives better. And so we were going to talk about, becoming happier, how to make ourselves happier. And the truth is, I think that most of our happiness is, we decide in our heads whether we're going to be happy or not. Frank Menrith, your mentor, wrote the book, Happiness is a Choice, right? Yes. And so I believe that's true.
And he taught journaling. He did. And that's part of learning how to disperse stress every day. So any of the bad emotions that you have when you wake up or that that you come across during the day and you start feeling them, knowing how to immediately get rid of them. So within minutes, it's gone and you're okay again. And you have the ability to cope with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, probably the majority of people who come to our clinic for help are there for anxiety issues. And you and I have talked, and we've known for a long time, anxiety really is the same thing as fear. There's a stressor out there that begins pumping adrenaline through our bodies as we're trying to deal with the stressor, and the adrenaline coming up creates the anxiety, which is really fear about the future. It's fear about what's going to happen. And so journaling is one of the very, very best ways to relieve that fear and that stress.
And this is Dr. Jim joining us today.
Good morning, everybody. This is Jim. So good to be here.
He's stress and anger specialist. He is the most chilled person I have ever met.
Oh, come on.
Truly. So we talk about journaling. I have different journals. So this is the thing. Journaling every day, you can even do 5 minutes. They have so much body of evidence to show that journaling daily takes away stress and anxiety and minimizes it, reduces it immensely in anger. And it doesn't really matter the length, okay? If you start off doing 5 minutes, and you don't have to have a fancy journal. I have all kinds of journals. I have this little notebook, it's like a small little notebook that you can get. Just a little, some of them are spiral. Mine was just a little composition book that you can get in the kids' school supplies area. There's just a little journal here. This one I started February 2014. So we have that journal. I have a pretty journal that has a bear on it that I got at Barnes & Noble, a cute little bear in the stars. I just got, see, it doesn't matter. Spiral notebooks work great, and that's what we use if we have to. And it's just spiral notebooks. Anyway, here's one that says Mom's Busy Year, and that's actually, what do they call that journaling? Just checking journaling, kind of keep it, logging, just logging.
Oh, logging, logging in, yeah. Not the very best.
I know it helps.
Okay, but it is mildly helpful, and that can be a help.
So there's all kinds of journals. Here's just a spiral journal, or you can get a spiral notebook that you use for school. And then the Eating Disorder Hospital sent me a very beautiful journal that has such a beautiful smell. It actually smells like apples. It
really does smell like apples. I couldn't believe it.
It's called Peel, AP, and then they have an apple picture, and then PEEL. It was made in Italy. It is incredible. It was made from recycled green apples.
Right. It's earth friendly, right?
Earth friendly, and it's beautiful, and it smells wonderful. And I never realized by having it smell really good when I open it, it's very inviting. So I look forward to my journal,
yeah.
but the smells of it actually make me feel better as well. Just like when we talk about essential oils and candles and things like that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so whatever kind of journal you get, don't worry about it. It doesn't have to be fancy. Some people will give you journals when they know you journal, so you'll get a lot more after they know you journal.
I have a question for you might answer, Ann. What would you say to people who say, I'm not so much into writing. I do most of my work on a laptop or on a desktop computer. Is it okay if I type out my journal entries that way?
Well, and you can do that. The only difference is that you don't get the impact from the writing by hand. They've actually done handwriting analysis by the hand movements to show that it actually decreases stress when you do these different hand movements. Even a smiley face, the doodling. They've talked about kids who doodle or people who doodle, because I do have some adults who doodle when you're bored. Just those hand movements are stress reducing, ergo why people probably doodle.
Yeah, and there's this, in fact, we had that person, we interviewed that lady who said she had this 3 or 6 second stress reducer, which was just doodling. But, the thing is, too, there's this, an image forms in our minds, I think, when we have a pen or a pencil to the pad. And it's almost, for me, it's like if I have stress or if I have anxiety, it's like it flows from my head or my heart or wherever you think that is, out through my arm and through my hand and through the pen and onto the page. And other people have written about that. It's a mental imaging kind of thing, and it really is a great stress reliever just to write.
Well, it is amazing. The most successful people in the world write by hand. They write by hand, and they journal. We wanted to say hello to all our listeners on Facebook. Hi, Eric. It's good to see you. Good to have you on here. And Ron, if you would like to see us on live video, you can go to Facebook, Getting Better with Ann Beal. If you don't get a chance to see it here, we'll put it on Instagram and YouTube after the show.
Yeah.
But we're glad to have you guys. And I think that one of the things that the most successful people do is they journal every day. They also do their wins often.
Yes, and for me, that's a huge part of the journaling process. We kind of broke it down yesterday, some as we talked about it, and this morning we broke it down into some different components. But we've counted wins and listed wins for a long, long time, and I don't know if you wanted to go into what they are now.
We can. But I think that it's important for people to learn how. So we'll get to that. Now, one of the things that you talk about is actually you like to do your wins first.
Yeah, and there's a reason for that. There was a time when I would journal for about 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes, and then I would list these wins are just really wonderful, really good things that happen to us, okay? And identifying and listing those lifts our mood, it raises our spirits and that kind of thing. So I decided that I should start doing them at the beginning. And that way I call it power washing my attitude, okay?
Right.
And I'm going to use that in a book that I'm working on right now, Power Washing Your Attitude. But it's the idea of getting me ready, in the right mood for journaling. And we can be helped by writing down the negative thoughts that we have, but we don't want to stay there, okay? And I'm at the place right now where I can journal in a good spirit, kind of in my true self, as we might say. And if I have negative things, okay, I can write those down. But listing the wins first really gives me a boost, into the journaling process.
And we want to encourage you, if you journal and it helps you and it works for you, or if you're struggling with journaling and you want some tips on that, or you just want to tell us about that, or if you journaled and it not worked, we can help you know why it didn't work. So we have different numbers you can call in on, but my favorite is 775-300-7599. Only because it's the easiest one. I like that one better.
I need easy.
775-300-7599. So you can call in there and talk to us about it. We actually have found that journaling is how we stay well every day during all this craziness. And we're happy and we feel joyful. And people just ask, how? How are you like that? How do you get that way? How do you do that? Are you faking? No. And so we do journal. We know the importance of it every day. Mm-hmm. And also, we have to work through issues every day. And so let's just start right in. When you talk about wins, you're talking about, people may say, are those gratefulness things? Are they positive things. What do you mean by wins?
Yeah, a win is, there are two different categories to wins as we see it anyway. One we call outside wins, which are just wonderful, nice things that happen to us during the day.
Things that people might do for us.
Could be someone smiles at you, someone compliments you, someone gives you a gift, or could be some money shows up in your mailbox, or it could be that we saw a beautiful cardinal when we were walking last night.
Did.
That's a win.
Oh my gosh, it was just different.
And we thought that is delightful to see that beautiful bird. And so that may sound like a small thing to people, but it's not.
It was a sunburst. I mean, it was just a different, I can't explain the color. It wasn't red, it was red, but it was a sunburst red. It was, so caught both of our eyes. We would consider that a win because of how it made us feel.
Good things that happen to us, for some people it might even be a parking spot close to the door wherever you're going or whatever. And so those are outside wins. Those are nice things that happen to us, and it's very, very important to us every day to acknowledge and recognize and identify what those wins are, whether it was yesterday's wins or it's wins that happened today if I'm doing it at the end of the day. But then there's another kind of win called an inside win. Do you want me to go ahead and go into that?
An inside win. Well, let me talk about the outside win for a second.
Yeah.
So this morning I want to give a shout out to Friday's Auto Repair, which is in Hurst.
It's in Hurst.
We stopped by to get something for our car. Thank goodness they were open early. He was so nice, so friendly. He's always so friendly.
Yes, he is.
And so we really like Friday's Auto Repair. We also want to get a shout out to Laura's Pharmacy in Azle, Texas.
Yeah.
They have supplements, they have essential oils, and of course they have your medicine. But she is just a wonderful lady, and we wanted to give a shout out to her. And so people around you that treat you well, that are nice to you, friendly, give you compliments, make you feel good. Those are outside wins.
Right. Even when things work out well.
Right.
And so, those are wins we can identify. And let me just say, every time we do that, our mood is lifted. Our spirits are lifted, and we feel better, and there's a happiness about it.
And the way people talk to us on Facebook, we have Ron Neitzel, who's the Green Wizard. He's the Green Wizard. He has the book, The Green Wizard.
Yes.
If you want to know everything about your lawn, he is always on, always smiling, always happy. And Eric Vinson, who's a retired fire chief, firefighter friend of ours, his wife does essential oils at Lone Star Essential Oils, just for doTERRA. They're just wonderful people.
Yeah, let me say hi to Eric. He's a special friend of mine. Eric, I'm so glad you're on. I couldn't see the screen over there to know that you were on, but brother, it's really good to hear from you.
So we love that. It makes us feel good. We appreciate that. Outside wins. Now, inside wins are things that we do. So an inside win is I thanked them. Right? I appreciated them. I let them know it because I'd like them to do it again. Keep making us happy. But it makes us feel good. But things that we do to make them feel good. The fact that we got here on time, we're prepared. Those are all inside wins from us.
Sure. Inside wins come from the energy inside us. That's why they're called inside wins. And so, but there's a wide variety of wins in that category. Right. And some of it is, deciding not to procrastinate and to go ahead and do something that I've been working on but haven't got there yet. So that would be an inside win because there's energy inside me that goes ahead and moves forward to do that. Another inside win would be something that would be an insight about something, problem solving that I do, an awareness that's new about myself. Those would all be inside wins, and they're even more powerful than the outside wins are because they represent good movement on our parts, growth and change, good change.
So you just write those down every day. She's telling me the phone line. Okay, I'll announce it again that they only have one phone line today, so I have to switch the phone number.
Okay.
Can't do my favorite one. So if you'd like to call in for the next segment, 469-243-5906. 469-243-5906. So the inside-outside wins, you list them first because it makes you feel so much better when you list your wins. And if that's all you do every day for those 5 minutes, that improves the way you feel immediately. It's one of the easiest things that you can do.
Yes, it's very quick. And one of the ways that we succeed with all that is that we do not write down our losses. They don't count.
No,
so
your brain holds
wins
on to those. We don't need to worry about you remembering those. Right. And that's why you're having to do your wins, because your brain doesn't hold on to the wins. It holds on to the others because it's dangerous. It could cause you trouble. Worry about it. we need to fight that, and that's what the wins do. You can also do just a log check-in for those 5 minutes if you want. And wins are the perfect thing, but if you just want to keep track of how you're doing, and like, I haven't watched TV for 5 days, that's also a good way. Stay right here, and we'll give you a lot more tips to how to
say we're not getting any younger, but many thousands have felt younger after a few short months using Dr. Wallach's all-natural longevity nutritional supplements. How many times have you said, one of these days I need to call Dr. Wallach and find out what I need? Well, make that day today. Here's how to get that information. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Write that number down and make the call. The information is free, and there is no pressure. So do it now. That's 800-214-0065. If you face health challenges such as heart disease, arthritis, diabetes, fibromyalgia, depression, infertility, ADD or ADHD, high blood pressure, or one of hundreds of other diseases, help is available. All you have to do is make the call. You have nothing to lose but the pain and suffering. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. You've been listening to Dr. Wallach, and I bet you have some questions. We want to help. And here's how you can get the answers. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Write that number down and make the call right now. Don't wait any longer to find out how Dr. Wallach's own all-natural nutritional supplements by Longevity can help you. Are you concerned with reducing your risk of heart disease, cancer, stroke, or high blood pressure? Help is available. Do you have arthritis, sore joints, lower back pain, or fibromyalgia? Call now. Dr. Wallach creates his own formulation so you can be sure that what is on the label is actually in the bottle. Whatever your health challenge, make this call. Thousands like you have seen results for a happier, healthier life. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Call today, 800-214-0065. Are you suffering with arthritis or osteoporosis? Do you have diabetes? Did you know that these are just two of the hundreds of diseases that have seen improvement with Dr. Wallach's incredible longevity products? You can't get them at a health food store. The only way to get them is to call us at 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Do you have heart disease, fibromyalgia, or high blood pressure? Do you have a terrible time losing weight? Dr. Wallach can help. He was a veterinarian and cured diseases in animals. He felt that he could do the same for humans, so he became a physician. Over 50 years of research and helping people like you goes into every bottle of Dr. Wallach's amazing discoveries. Do you want to feel better? Learn how to treat the cause of your problem rather than covering up the symptoms with drugs. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065.
Do you have an idea for an invention or new product? Do you think companies would be interested in your idea? Do you want to try to get a patent? Then call InventHelp now. InventHelp keeps your idea confidential and explains every step of the invention process. We create professional materials representing your idea and submit it to companies who are looking for new ideas. We have more than 9,000 companies who have agreed to review ideas in confidence. If a company shows interest in manufacturing your invention, we can negotiate on your behalf. We have helped over 10,000 clients receive patents. We also offer services including 3D modeling and animation demonstrating your idea, prototyping services, and we use state-of-the-art technology to show InventHelp client ideas to additional companies. Join the thousands of people just like you who chose InventHelp to pursue their idea. We are experienced. We are working for you. We are InventHelp.
Call us for free information at 1-800-460-1663. That's 1-800-460-1663. Again, 1-800-460-1663.
To admit it's getting better, a little better all the time.
And now here's more Getting Better with Ann Beal on 1160 AM KBDT.
We are actually getting into the journaling part. Now, however much time you spend, whether it be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, we try to go about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not, we don't time it. We just journal until we're done. And so we write about what is happening right now. So usually whatever that stressor is, it can be any bad emotion that you need that's causing you stress, because any bad emotion does cause stress.
Yes, it does.
So that is where you start some people may say whatever's bothering you. You write it down because you want to define it, you want to put it to words and write it down, and that in itself relieves stress.
Absolutely. And the reason it does that, one of the reasons at least, I think a big one, is that when we don't face things straight on and they are vague and they are kind of an unknown for us, and yet we're still anxious, they have power over us. Those things have power over us. But as soon as we look at them and we define them and we analyze them, the power goes away. Their power goes away, and we take power on over that because it's no longer vague. We know it. We can see it. We can do something about it.
And, our suggestion is when you write, if you have lines, even if you don't have lines, skip some space. So skip a line if you have lines in between your writing. If you're typing, you don't necessarily have to do that, but you want to leave space, okay, so that you can write notes. So right now, just writing your thoughts, your concerns, your fears, to get them out, get them heard to you in the open. And then we suggest that after you do that and you write, one of the things that we like to do as we write is to get all that out on paper first. Then we try to look at the reality of it. So, so you may have to reread it just so you can see what you wrote and see how realistic it is, that fear.
Yeah, and so asking ourselves questions, there's a lot of self-talk that goes into journaling, actually. And so I ask myself, is this realistic? Should I really be afraid of this? I don't even know how this is going to turn out. Do I need to worry about it right now? I mean, there are lots of questions. And is it even realistic that my worst fears could happen?
Well, and if you think of what's happening right now with all this virus and everything, to try to put it in perspective. And so by thinking it through, challenging your own thoughts, challenge yourself, talk back at yourself. So when you're journaling, you look back at that and you, well, you know what, it's not really, I can deal with that. When it's an unknown fear and you don't really put it on paper, you don't really define it, then it seems bigger.
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
just there and you don't really know how big it is. So when you put it on paper, it minimizes it, number one, because you bring it down and define it. Then when you start looking at it, you realize, okay, I can handle that. I can handle that. What do I need to do now? And so what would be, so some of the things you can do is challenge yourself. I can handle that, but what do I need to do? I don't like it. And I think that because we don't like it, that's what causes some of the anxiety and fear and anger. What might happen? What would be best case scenario, worst case scenario, all that? I think you already got the worst case scenario because that's why you're afraid. And that's why you're angry. Without even thinking about it, your body is thinking about that. Your brain is thinking about the worst case scenario.
Right. And I often ask people who have come to see me for this matter, about this, what's the worst case scenario? And they'll tell me, and I'll say, oh, that sounds awful. What's the best case scenario? And usually it is more towards the best case scenario, what really happens, than the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario almost never happens. And so, we encourage ourselves when we say, hey, you know what, this probably isn't going to happen. And immediately we begin thinking through our resources, right? Is there some person I need to talk to? Is there a book I need to read? Is there journaling I need to do? Is there problem solving? What do I do next?
But isn't this where what they call it a big name, cognitive distortions? Isn't that where that can come in? The thought distortions. You kind of distort reality. And by putting it on paper, it brings it back to reality. It makes it more real. But, when we talk about cognitive distortions or thinking distortions, this is where the anger can come in. Or panic attacks or severe depression, right? You can get really, really in a funk.
Right. And, there are different kinds of what we call cognitive distortions or thinking distortions, thought distortions. And there are about 6 or so that I think are the biggest, most important ones. And so
throw them out real quick.
Well, things like assuming too much, things about catastrophizing, thinking the worst is going to happen no matter what. And so I get afraid of that. Blaming is another one. All kinds of things. It's somebody's fault.
Okay.
Generalizing. In other words, this always happens. This never happens.
Yeah.
It's never good. It's always bad. That kind of stuff. And that's all for now.
Okay. So what happens is you can make things, they say make a mountain out of a molehill, or make them bigger than they are, or worse than they are, or distorted. And so by putting them on paper, it brings it back to reality, and you see that.
Right. Magnifying. We used to call it catastrophizing, but it's magnifying. It's making things bigger than they really should be.
And that's where we want you to bring it down, define it, see it, what might could happen, what would you do, which is next, and then how can you prepare? These are ways to minimize that fear, that anger, that depression, so you can be happy. Stay right here. You'll learn more.
Does your business spend
and want to get it published? Then call Page Publishing at 800-605-6995 immediately. That's 800-605-6995. Page Publishing is looking for authors of all types of books. And unlike most publishers, Page Publishing will take the time to review each and every book submitted to them and give you their feedback. If they like what they read, they'll get your book into bookstores and for sale online at Amazon, the Apple iTunes Store, Barnes & Noble, and other outlets. They handle everything: editing, cover design, copyright protection, printing, publicity, and distribution. So if you've written a novel, children's book, cookbook, inspirational work, poetry, or a biography and want to get it published, then you need to call Page Publishing and do it immediately. Call 800-605-6995 now for your free author submission kit. Again, for your free author submission kit, call 800-605-6995. That's 800-605-6995. Your road to fame and fortune could very well start with this simple phone call. Call Page Publishing at 800-605-6995 for your free author submission kit.
It's true, many of us spend more time thinking about what's for dinner than preparing for retirement. But if you think your retirement needs deserve more attention, we agree. And we'd like to help. We're Edward Jones. Together, we'll give your long-term retirement strategy the attention it deserves. Stop by Edward Jones Financial Advisor Fritz Beckworth's office at 128 South Cockrell Hill Road, DeSoto, Texas. Call 972-274-0237. 972-274-0237. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-610-5739. 800-610-5739. That's 800-610-5739. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
The NASCAR Cup Series.
Kurt one last time. Diving down to the inside won't be enough.
Heads to the Irish Hills of Michigan.
Here's Logano. He'll dive it deep. Kurt Busch to the inside of Truex for second.
With just a handful of races left before the playoffs, it's the Firekeepers Casino 400 from Michigan International Speedway. Saturday afternoon at 2 on the Motor Racing Network.
The NASCAR Cup Series is back from NASCAR's home in Dallas, Texas. 1160 a.m. KBDT News Talk Sports.
I've got to admit, it's getting better, a little better, all the time.
If you'd like to get better, call Ann right now. 214-810-8255. 214-810-TALK. Now more with Ann Beal on 1160 a.m. KBDT.
Okay, that's not the right phone number. So let me give you the right phone number, 469-243-5906. I hear they're going to have that fixed by next week, so I'm looking forward to that. 469-243-5906. It's a little harder. It doesn't just have those words, which, nobody has. I guess they do have letters, but not on their cell phone. Do they have letters on their cell phone?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I want to thank Brittany Lucky as our producer today. That's a win that we have her.
Absolutely. Thanks, Brittany. Appreciate you.
She's wearing pink today, so she looks all beautiful. Okay, so a simple journaling technique can provide you with a tool to help you through situations where you need to manage anxiety and stress in your life. However, some issues can require more help than others. So if you are just logging, okay, we talked about logging, just keeping track of improvement. So if you're trying to eat well, eat a certain way, they say you do 60% better when you track your food. So by writing it down. Exactly the same thing for anything else you're trying to do. So by focusing on it, by just logging it, okay, today's my 9th day of being successful. Today's my 34th day of being successful. We actually talked about a guy who's been logging, and he's on his 34th day of not looking at pornography. So he's keeping up. He's trying to improve himself. He's doing all these things, and he's logging it and being real with himself, right? and logging it. And he said he has been so successful doing that. Now, people that work out, they'll say, like, this is my 9th day of working out, and they log it. Tomorrow when they journal, my 10th day. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Some people they'll log, they may put the 4 things they want to get done tomorrow. I put the 3 important things I want to get done tomorrow in my personal life, and the 3 most important things I want to get done in my professional life every day.
Wow, good for you.
And just by logging it, I also say it out loud to you. I said it today on the way here. It helps me get it done. And so then you feel good just because you can X them off. Check them off.
Everybody likes to check boxes off.
I love it.
That's great.
I love to say, I did it. And so if you just use that for journaling, it does help you so much. But when you're feeling with what's been going on with the coronavirus and COVID-19, all that kind of stuff, what we have noticed is people are so maxed out. They are maxing out their coping skills. They're either getting really down, really depressed, really anxious, panic attacks, or really angry. You can just look at the TV to see the anger. And so people are getting kind of really severe. And so that's why we want you to know how to journal to bring it down so that you can feel good and joyful and happy. I mean, anger you can use, but, to get what you want or whatever. But it just feels so bad to have. And anxiety feels so bad. You want to feel good. The alternative is life is so much more joyful when you feel joy and happiness, not anger. So journaling, starting with your wins, this was you suggested, and then starting in on writing, pinpointing what is bothering you, pinpointing the stressor. Then, and trying to skip lines so that you can write in between them if you need to. Being able to look at what you wrote because you defined it and you made it real, and then to analyze it, talk back at yourself about it, challenge your own thoughts to say, hey, I can handle this, or what do I need to do? Is this really as bad as I thought it was? Can I really not handle this? What can I do to handle it? Steps or anything like that, right?
Yes, and often as you're asking that question, what can I do about this? You continue to write. This has been a problem that I've been facing for like a month now. I haven't come to any solution, but I keep thinking about it. I'm looking for a solution to it. I'm looking for resources or whatever. Then all of a sudden, often the solution comes to you while you're writing. And so to me, that's an amazing thing. That's happened to me a lot of times. It just means that my brain is processing the problem and coming to a solution. I may not even be aware of it. All of a sudden, I'm writing it down on the page, and I realize this is what I do. This is what I need to do.
And the research shows that by moving your hand as you're writing, different movements of the hand reduce stress, and it allows the brain to get everything out on paper so it can stop looping and be able to process through more information to come up better with a solution. So they did a lot of research on rats. Putting probes to their brain to see how they're able to function, and then when they're sleeping, going through mazes. So they have all these really incredible research. But the main thing they found was they could think better. Now, rats can't write. I can hear somebody out there going, what? Rats can't use their hands to write? Well, they were using their hands to look for food, stuff like that. So they did a lot of things. Okay, that's what I was like, you're cracking up. Because I know my friends. I'm already here, and I'm going, what? And so it's interesting that as you're writing. So we have a friend who's a professor in New York at Brooklyn University, and she actually is a handwriting specialist, professor, analyst who has done a lot of that research for handwriting. Mm-hmm. And she said that by the movements, it actually decreases stress. I wish I could remember her name right now. She has a book called Stress Free in 3 minutes, stress free. She even says stress free in 3 seconds as you're reading through it. And she has a book called Happiness. And so you can get happy quickly while you're writing. And that's why the writing part is so important. But what we learned as a life coach when we were training is the importance of doing wins and journaling. And as you're journaling, writing out your stressors, writing how you feel about it, all that bad stuff, anger, stress, or whatever, you write it all out. Then you look at the reality of it, talk yourself through it. And no matter what, when you end on a positive note.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a part of learning the process. You can start out negative, and especially if you're feeling down or feeling dark emotion right then, but you move towards being more positive as you finish up the writing, and that's a part of the technique that's learned, right?
Yes, and so the reality of that is that's what you look at. okay, so I've written everything down. Here's my stressor. Here's how bad I feel. Now, what's it feel like now? Because once you write it down, you start feeling better. And you're doing it from a logical, rational brain, not those defense mechanisms that just set off all these emotions. You're actually, as an adult, logically processing through what you're writing.
Yes, honestly, it's a very mature adult thing to do. And I'm going to jump in just with this one thought about this. This is for everyone.
Yes.
This is not just for somebody who is a teacher and in language arts and things like that, right? This is for everyone. Even guys need to be thinking about doing this too, because it's a great stress reliever. Everyone is subject to stressors, and so to live happily and to live well, we need to know how to deal with those stressors and the fears that they produce.
Well, when Mary Kay Ash, who started Mary Kay, she wrote down the 5 most important things for her to do the next day, and she said that relieved so much stress just by thinking it through. What are the most important things? Now, most successful people I talk to, instead of doing 5, do 3. They write down the 3 most important things I should do tomorrow. Okay, that I want to do, that I need to do. However you look at that, only 3. Only 3, okay? Because if you get through those 3, you feel so successful. You feel so much better. You're not as stressed out. If you get through 2, you just move that 1 to the next day, and then you'll work to get it done. So you're focusing on the most important things.
Yes.
Now, people that I know that get up and pray in the morning, and they journal, when they pray, and some of them use journaling as prayer. They'll journal,
yes,
they'll pray
do.
in their journals.
Mm-hmm.
They as well say that they just usually pray for the day. So they're thinking about what is the most important thing that they need that day. Now, there's maybe some bigger things, but in general, they're asking for what they need that day. So when they start the day, they feel prepared. They've journaled, they've prayed, they've gotten, prayer protection, instruction, whatever. Because as you're writing, you get insight about yourself or about things that happen. And I have a friend, he has a huge ministry in Africa. He provides all this food. I'm not going to say where, because it's getting more dangerous and more dangerous over there. And he has farms and ministries and orphanages and women's home for AIDS. He just runs this huge organization. And he was so hands-on for so long. But he spends now so many hours journaling and praying in the morning. And he said that he gets more insight on what to do, how to do it, and things go so much smoother that he's able to do more in 1 week than he used to do in 3 months to a year.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's so focused in by taking that time. Not everybody has 3 hours, but I know people that take 10 minutes every day.
Right.
The key is it's so simple. People think it's too easy. That's not going to work. It's too easy, so they don't do it.
Right.
So we would suggest that you try to do this and stick with it for 90 days, because it takes 90 days to set a habit. I have seen people on YouTube that say in their podcast they've done 30 days. Well, you know what? You can't set a habit in 30 days. And we've had people say it was beneficial. It was really beneficial, but they don't. But I'm not. But I didn't keep doing it after 30 days because you haven't set the habit.
Yeah, and there's something that keeps the ball rolling when you have success with anything, and so knowing how to journal, knowing why to journal. And then being responsible enough to go ahead and begin doing it every day, or at least the majority of days out of the week, and that's kind of a big thing.
Yes, it's really important that you keep doing it. We want to talk to you a little bit about anger. There are 3 parts to anger. You want to share those 3 parts, specialist?
Yeah, and there are different people call them different things, but I was hearing a lecture the other day from a guy that I thought this guy really has done a good job with this, and he said he breaks it down into 3 different parts. One is the emotion, which he calls, that's the anger phase, right? That's anger. Mm-hmm. And then there's the reaction to it. If we react to it, and whatever that looks like, that's the rage phase for him, he calls it. And then when it persists on and on and on, he calls it the resentment phase or the resentment stage. Anger becomes resentment. And honestly, resentment doesn't hurt at all the person you're angry with. It just hurts you, and that's another issue. But those are the three main parts to anger management, if you want to call it that. We want to get rid of it, right? But if we can't get rid of it entirely, we all get angry from time to time. It's a natural emotion. Right. Knowing what to do about it when we do get angry, that's the important thing.
And there are people who feel guilty when they are angry. You can't control the feeling. Okay, you can get more insight that maybe starts bringing it down over time, but you still, anger, just because it's not blowing or yelling or your face isn't red or whatever, anger is a God-given emotion to get you to act and do something. It means you're being harmed in some way or hurt in some way. Something's going on. What you got to be careful, though, is not to do the thinking distortions with that. Blaming never helps because you don't do anything yourself about it. You don't change your actual life, so you just blame someone else. And so, whatever. But your life doesn't change at all. We want you to take action to change your life so that the anger doesn't keep happening. The anger is there to get you to do something, to take action. So blaming is not an action. You're not doing anything.
Those distortions that we mentioned, the thought distortions, cognitive distortions, those are anger producers.
They produce
and so
more
if I'm
anger,
blaming and I'm assuming and I'm catastrophizing and magnifying and generalizing and doing all that stuff that distorts my thinking, it's going to make me mad.
Right. We don't. So that's the anger feeling. You don't need to feel guilty about. That is just normal. Okay, that's normal. It's God given. That's going to happen. What you do with it does matter. And that's where the anger distortions can get you off. And journaling about your anger puts it on paper, makes it clear. You detail it. It's not just there, kind of this vague anger, just like anxiety, this vague fear, just feeling anger. You get it on paper, what you're actually really angry about. And it may be a few things, but you get them on paper. Then you see if you've distorted reality. Is it really another person's fault? Did I have, most time people all have fault, but putting it down on paper to be able to think through how, what I need to do about it. Now, if you've already done it, then you know the outcome of that, good or bad, and you can journal about that. But you want to be able to disperse the anger, because some people take action that doesn't get rid of the anger. Busting up buildings and beating people or whatever. You're not getting rid of the anger. You're not getting rid of it because you're not doing anything to disperse what you're upset about.
Right.
So how do you change your life? I mean, if you hurt other people, okay, you're hurting their life, but that's not changing your life. What you want to do is change your life. We want your life to get better and happy and joyful.
Right. And you can turn those anger distortions or those thought distortions into right thinking, and then you can do better and you can improve and feel better too.
Yes, because when you do good things with it, when you produce good things and you have good outcomes and things are resolved, that brings joy and happiness.
Right.
And you don't have all those regrets. And regrets, nobody wants to live with regrets. Regrets are heavy. Regrets are dark. If you have regrets, journaling about them, writing through them, but you don't want to keep building them up. That's why it's really important to think well, think clearly by journaling so you can detail your actions exactly like you want.
Are you suffering with arthritis or osteoporosis? Do you have diabetes? Did you know that these are just two of the hundreds of diseases that have seen improvement with Dr. Wallach's incredible longevity products? You can't get them at a health food store. The only way to get them is to call us at 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Do you have heart disease, fibromyalgia, or high blood pressure? Do you have a terrible time losing weight? Dr. Wallach can help. He was a veterinarian and cured diseases in animals. He felt that he could do the same for humans, so he became a physician. Over 50 years of research and helping people like you goes into every bottle of Dr. Wallach's amazing discoveries. Do you want to feel better? Learn how to treat the cause of your problem rather than covering up the symptoms with drugs. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. They say we're not getting any younger, but many thousands have felt younger after a few short months using Dr. Wallach's all-natural longevity nutritional supplements. How many times have you said one of these days I need to call Dr. Wallach and find out what I need? Well, make that day today. Here's how to get that information. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Write that number down and make the call. The information is free and there is no pressure. So do it now. That's 800-214-0065. If you face health challenges such as heart disease, arthritis, diabetes, fibromyalgia, depression, infertility, ADD or ADHD, high blood pressure, or one of hundreds of other diseases, help is available. All you have to do is make the call. You have nothing to lose but the pain and suffering. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. You've been listening to Dr. Wallach, and I bet you have some questions. We want to help. And here's how you can get the answers. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Write that number down and make the call right now. Don't wait any longer to find out how Dr. Wallach's own all-natural nutritional supplements by Longevity can help you. Are you concerned with reducing your risk of heart disease, cancer, stroke, or high blood pressure? Help is available. Do you have arthritis, sore joints, lower back pain, or fibromyalgia? Call now. Dr. Wallach creates his own formulation so you can be sure that what is on the label is actually in the bottle. Whatever your health challenge, make this call. Thousands like you have seen results for a happier, healthier life. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Call today. 800-214-0065.
Legacy Preparatory Charter Academy is a free kinder through 12th grade public school choice. We offer a trilingual K-6 program offering English, Spanish, and Chinese, along with a rich project-based learning environment, including engineering projects. Our 6th through 12th graders get their own laptop and follow a STEM curriculum, which includes information technology and health science as primary high school endorsements. We are preparing our elementary scholars for a rigorous secondary curriculum because when they qualify, they start high school courses in middle school and college courses in 9th grade. We have smaller class sizes and no tolerance for bullying. Let us be your free public school of choice. Call 469-249-1099 or visit legacypca.com to arrange a tour. Your children deserve to have a chance at free college. Legacy Preparatory Charter Academy. Call 469-249-1099 or visit legacypca.com to arrange your tour today.
See, I like that.
I've got to admit, it's getting better, a little better, all the time.
You're getting better all the time. Now, back to Ann Beal on 1160 AM, KBDT.
We have way too much fun on this show. I tell you, I'm wanting to talk and keep going, even though I'm not supposed to be doing that. So Ann has to just hold her finger up to her mouth to make me be quiet.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's okay. So we were looking at journals. So we were saying our favorite journal was, of all of them that we've ever gotten, this simple one from the Church at Hazel. They gave them out to all of the parishioners, all of us. And I noticed Jim Paul held this up. I went, you got one too. Okay, so it's just simple. You know, it's got lines on the inside. It's got a little bit of a, I don't know, is that leather? Is that paper?
It's a leather-like,
leather-like
but it's
cover.
heavy stock, you know.
It's pretty. It's a dark brown.
You can bend it around.
You can bend it
foley,
back.
bendy,
You don't have to worry
thing.
about it. Yeah, I was even journaling in the pool, and it got a little water on it, but it didn't hurt it. You know, it's crazy. And so it's just so simple. It's the simplest thing. And so I actually found one very similar to it at the school supply store, smaller. They had a bigger one, but I went with the smaller one to keep in my purse. And again, it's plastic, but you can fold it back.
Right.
And you can write in it. And so you can write whatever. Yeah. And so it doesn't have to be hard. And we just want to encourage you to journal your worries away, right? So you can say, write your worries, detail the moments, analyze it, you know, see if it's really as big as you thought it was, and then come up with, talk back at it, challenge your thoughts, come up with solutions or as far as you can. And then in our case, give it to the Lord at that point. You know, just say, hey, right. You know, He's got it. And if we can encourage you at all, we want to encourage you spiritually to turn to God. If you don't know Him, then just talk to Him and tell Him you don't know Him. And if you don't believe something, just ask Him to show you. He can lead you to the truth. And he can lead you to comfort. He can lead you to this life of joy that we feel. Some people say some Christians are so heavenly minded, they're no earthly good. And we don't want you to be that way. We aren't that way. We constantly want to help here today and not just say everything's going to be fine. Everything's so. Yes, we do believe it's going to be fine, but we want to be able to be real and put it on paper and be able to have you actually get the process down of how the most successful people in the world deal with the stress. As you know, because of all the stuff that they do, they have immense stress. Just look at Oprah. Tons of stress. We actually, the Valuetainment guy, that podcast we love, he has immense stress, right? Because he's running this huge business. And I think it's a finance business he runs.
I think so, yeah.
And so dispersing stress is so important. And knowing how to do that so that you can get through the journaling to get rid of the anger, the anxiety, whatever stress you have, to joy and happiness.
Yeah, absolutely. This is really a go-to technique for me. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's only one thing that might relieve stress more quickly than journaling and better than journaling, and that is hard exercise because it burns adrenaline so fast. But this is the thing, and journaling is for everyone. Let me just say, this is for guys and this is for whoever, okay? Exercise. Yeah, and it's really, really a quick, good, go-to stress reliever.
Exercise is immense, but you know what? I have to say that reading the Psalms early in the morning for me
has,
because I've exercised my whole life, and I love it. Don't get me wrong, I love it. But I have been getting up reading Psalms every day, and that just started last September on my birthday, right around there. I just started waking up, and I had seen that Ronwyn Kendrick, Alex Kendrick's mom, reads these verses every day, and they were Psalms. And she does that every day, and all her kids are so successful, and she has a wonderful life. And we love Alex and the Kendrick brothers.
And their films.
And they actually did the movie War Room. Their mom was one of the people they modeled that after. If you haven't seen that movie, you need to watch it. It's on Amazon, Netflix, wherever, War Room. And so there's just so many things. They have Overcomer, which is that's using scripture very positively as well.
Flywheel.
The Flywheel is my favorite, maybe because I own businesses. They just have so many great things. So for me, I read, just so you know which Psalms I read. I get up in the morning and I read Psalm 23. I read Psalm 37. I read Psalm 25. And I read Psalm 91. Now, there's an interesting story about Psalm 91 if you're scared about the virus, okay? Psalm 91 says that God will protect you from the pestilence and the plague, okay? And so you will not fear the terror of the night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday. And though 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, it will not come near you. You will only observe with your eyes and see the punishment of the wicked. If you make the Most High your shelter, and God, and how does it go? If you make the Most High
your dwelling, even the Lord who is
my God, He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. So Psalms is where you should go for comfort. Journaling to disperse your worries and stress. Come back next week for more tips.